That's where Alice says she's supposed to be, isn't it?
That's where I'm supposed to be, yeah.
We got a couple things we can talk about in motion too.
That was the best set of minutes I had to sit and do for a while,
You wanna,
yesterday's minutes.
really?
Yeah, you were in closed though, wasn't it?
I think that was the easiest set
That was
you
the
ever did.
easiest set I've ever
I'll
done.
tell you one thing, it's the longest closed session I've been on council since the summer of '8, except for a year and a half break. I've never been in a closed session that long.
My wife thought I was lying to her. She said, where you been?
Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mayor, whereas council has held a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in keeping with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas section 2.23712D requires certification that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Be it resolved that the council hereby certifies that to the best of every member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements were discussed in the closed meeting to which this resolution applies. And only such matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered therein.
Here, a second.
Second.
Shane.
Jimmy,
Yes.
Alice.
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
We are officially back in open. I had a guy come in today and he asked about doing some metal detecting on town property. And I told him I'd ask you guys how you felt about it. I told him as far as I was concerned, I wouldn't think we would want to do it because if you let him do it, then how you gonna turn down the next person? But that's up to you guys.
Well, off the top, I seem to have some kind of memory of there being a question like this coming up a few years ago. Someone said they were looking for the famed Beale treasure
Very small.
out of Bedford County somewhere.
Bill treasure, or
Yeah.
some kind of treasure.
I mean, that's been looked for in different counties probably for decades, and we decided not to do that. One, because of setting a precedent for future incidents, and of course the potential liability in public relations, and there's various reasons. And I don't remember what off the top, that just, I comprehend somebody wanting to do that. There was a time when I was young, I might want to have to, but I don't think that's a road that we need to go down, or something that we need to start with all else that we have going and are working on.
Well, Shine will tell you that when I have people come down here and I tell staff, you can't do for one person, and you can't treat one person different than you treat everybody else. So if you let one person do it, you're gonna have to let the next one do it too.
Yeah. That's the thing about setting the precedent. What are you opening up to at any point?
I will say this, I was born and raised in Bedford, Virginia, and they went through a thing up there where everybody in the world was traveling all over, like going up to the peaks of Ogden, all over the mountains. They had people everywhere up there, and I don't know what damage they, I don't think it did any damage, but there's a lot of people up there just digging and stuff like that.
So-
That's years ago.
Everybody can give a nod.
No.
Okay. I also had a call from Mark Kidd. He said that sometimes last summer the yard for the town looked like it needed a little work, and looked like it wasn't getting caught up like it should be mowed and all, so he's offered his services again to cut grass for us.
Well, we now have, I thought we just purchased a fantastic mower.
We absolutely have.
So I'll see, I mean, I like Mark, Mark's a great guy, but
Well, we used to contract with him to do our mowing and trimming. The question with that, I mean, obviously, it's a, it's a budget question, paying for it, but beyond that is, if there's a demonstrated justified need for that.
Right.
Because Joe and Paul both have so much to do with water and wastewater and fire hydrants and everything else, then we want to respect that and take care of that. But if it still fits, within a reasonable workload for two men, we probably should leave it there till we see further. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not in here every day working as town manager, but I mean, that's why I'm asking. Those are the two things you gotta balance with that.
I would say that they're well overworked. They are both overworked. And especially this time of year when we're having some plumbing problems, they've had to do a lot of road work, a lot of road repairs, a lot of pipe repairs, and they can't stay caught up. They can't.
with the city budget, I'd be all for it.
Well, it's not currently in the budget. It was a few years ago when we took it out.
But I'll talk to Joe again tomorrow, but I suspect the answer is gonna be, we'll try to do it. I suspect that's what he's gonna say. But with that being said, he would probably like to be in a position to where if they were extremely busy and couldn't get to it and it needed it, maybe we call Mark and
I think that's a great idea right there, as needed.
That's a better way to do it, is one, find out from Mark some idea of what, that he would need. One, if we were to contract with him again, full-time like we did in the previous years. And what it would look like if we just wanted to have him on retainer for an as-needed basis. We're going into budget stuff. I've got stuff here to talk about in a little while with that. If we're going to have a discussion about this, we're going to need to know how much money we're dealing with so we can start some, scenario A, scenario B type things. That's not a small line item. I think it was $12,000 when we did it before, or something like that. I don't remember, but it was north of 10,000, and it would be more now because that's been a few years.
Yeah.
If you go to a full-time basis.
And, another part of it is with the water treatment plant and other things and starting down here on the pump station and all, a lot of that time is going to depend on how fast that stuff gets pushed forward. And if they have to start on that during the mowing season, then we would need Mark Kidd a lot more than what we might think we need. Because these projects are gonna eat their time up, and I can tell you, they're both very concerned about their time in these projects.
I'm looking at 141s, 141s, there should have been something there, contractual services, no, there it is. 12,600 in what year was that?
23.
In 23-24 fiscal year, we had budgeted 12,600 for that. So I don't imagine it will be any less.
No.
But if we use them for only half the year for when we need those extra services, I think that's good. I've always wondered, what is the extent of mowing that is done?
Other than the grounds here around this building, what else?
Well, they mow they mow all town property, okay? So they mow up at the water tank, Cemetery Road and up there. They mow at the pump station down here on Grit Road.
Okay.
They mow around that.
All the mowing right up through here.
Yeah, all this mowing right up here across from Family Dollar,
Around Mr.
that
Hurt's memorial.
field.
Yeah.
and, Yeah, that
Across
memorial.
from Family Dollar,
Yeah,
not the field beside Family Dollar.
yeah, beside it,
Yeah,
is where the
both
block
of them.
camera is.
the tunnel?
Brady Memorial.
What about the tunnel? There's
The
a,
tunnel right up here.
there's a piece of property beside Family Dollar, it's a big grassy field between the train
Oh,
track.
you talking about in between the train track and the store?
Yes.
No, I don't know, I think the store.
Is
Yeah, I
that,
think the store does that, but I think they do the edge work on the sidewalk and all down, on the English side.
so it's kind of like kind of an odd shaped piece of land that's going up the hill? What part of that is ours? Because it's grassy up until there's kind of a brick building with the parking lot beside it.
I'm trying to think where you're talking about.
You talking about right there on the right-hand side as you go up a hill?
Yeah, as you're
Make a turn.
approaching the tunnel from
Yeah.
here.
Sometimes you see the state tractors sitting there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's Walter McCormick's there.
So we don't mow
We
that
don't
property.
know that, no.
Okay.
But we mow before you get to that, the bank coming up from 29, Main Street where it comes up to Mr. Hurt's Memorial and the Flock Cameron all set up as that. And then we go back toward the tunnel for, right where the edge of those woods start. You'll see a drive going down through the woods and we mow right up to that.
So it's lots of separate
Yeah.
pieces
Yeah.
of property.
Yeah.
It's not just any contiguous.
No, it's all broken. It's probably 15 different.
So that probably takes a good bit
Yeah,
of time
loading
just
the-
mowing.
loading
Well, you gotta load up and go. And right down through here, they mow the plaza, they mow all the way down to the pump station, the sewer pump station, along the edge of the road,
Wow.
and where the Sycamore Creek intakes are. So they mow in this field right here.
Why don't
So,
you find out what the guy's gonna charge and
yeah, we'll just
then talk about it next meeting?
That's what I'm thinking, if we could get a figure on, what he would want for the job,
Well,
full-time,
just-
and what he would want for it on an as-needed basis.
Yeah, I'll ask him like an hourly rate for as needed.
Then, we would need to know both, so we have something to compare now.
Mhm.
Because we could get into needing that, and it's gonna vary some, you're talking about something there that the weather gets involved in. Some years it's, a longer growing season and more rain
Yep.
than others,
Okay.
and that's an unknown.
So we don't need to take any action on that with the motion, just find out.
Just, we'll talk to Joe, see what they think, and then we'll get Mark to give us the hourly rate. And,
Then we'll have to build it into the budget.
yeah, if we're gonna, it would probably be wise to put a little something in there.
Well, we
On an
still have
hourly
the
rate.
line item, we might as well keep it there.
Yeah,
It sounds like it.
yeah. That's about all I have. Does anybody else got anything to do with the college?
Yeah, I've got some budget stuff, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This is very pre-preliminary. All right, you've already covered anything you got on here with the plaza and the water and all that. So, leave anybody high and dry. I had wanted to have a scrap sheet ready to give everybody tonight, but we're not that far along and we're still waiting on too many things. So this is just a little something here to start with. And
Thank you.
I'll leave a few more copies here for our two members who are not with us and also for staff to look at. This is just a starting point of conversation. The master spreadsheet is ready and being worked on, as is the data sheet that goes with it. I have reached out to the county commissioner's office, I think it was Monday, when we got to work from home, to try to find out tax valuation data that's pending. I have not received a response as of this afternoon. The personal liability and workers' comp insurance packages, I have reached out and heard back from Lisa Sheets. It's early in the season for that, we seldom get it this early, but she's going to look into that for us and see where we are in the process and how soon they can get it. And she'll let me know, and let all of us know once that's available. Health insurance is a thing this year, as well. Thank you, Shannon, for the work you did and got back to me this morning. We're looking at a 19.7% increase in health insurance premiums. Reference an email that was sent to all members of council February 13th. So I have the numbers on that and who is planning to do individual versus individual plus one. So that's going to be a sizable amount of money, but it's not something we can do anything about. It's just something insurance does. Staff health insurance, I made a mistake on that. The open enrollment is not until May. It's April 1st for reporting, if I understood you right.
Yes.
I've got to talk with Jason about some line items. I just haven't got that done yet. There should be escalator clauses in the cell phone tower lease and the garbage collection contracts. So we're gonna need to know what those are so we can project income and out and go for those. For item G there, the other data that's pending, Alta Vista water, wastewater rates, that comes up every year. Gary, I'll go ahead and ask you about projected volumetric sales. The current budget was built on 23 million gallons. And we were back and forth last year with that as well, always are. At this point, do you see that changing substantially this upcoming cycle?
Honestly, I hadn't taken a look at it, to be honest with you.
That is a thing right there that can make a difference in the enterprise budget sooner than you think. You know, 250,000 gallons difference on that can translate into some difference on the revenue side of that. And we will need new rates with UFY from our auditing firm and legal counsel and water wastewater consultant. And Tom's going to continue to do that.
No.
So we can take that out and zero that one?
Yep.
Okay. Are we sure we don't need it? I guess Bob will take care of all that now.
Yeah.
Okay. H, the Stanton Plaza, in lease incomes. You in charge of that? So it's just here as a note, you know, we're gonna need to know some idea what we're looking at income from the plaza.
Yeah, we need to get our new, leases ready too. I'm getting pretty bad over those.
Well, I just, you know, I've done the draft, we just need to do them, but do you want to make them more than a year? I mean, we are on the verge of, we don't know what. We don't want to sign up for any long-term
Yeah,
leases,
I mean,
except the Amazato, they're paying so much meals tax, we want to keep them there.
I mean, my sons, they want a 10 to 15 year lease. But I guess we ought to go on and get them something. And, you know, the tough part is we don't really know when we're gonna start on the project. And granted, when we do the facade and all, they're not gonna see a lot of bothersome stuff going on, you know, right around. We can work around them pretty easy. But, I think that they would just have to understand, you know, that it's gonna be some work in front of that shops every now and then.
Well, they ought to be happy with that.
I would think so.
All right, and then I, this stuff, you know, comes up every year too. We need, as soon as we can find out, you know, what we're gonna be looking at for things like Southern Software, tax support, managed services, all that stuff that falls under IT. If there's any sizable changes in that, we'll need to, all the LGIP balances, those are not income or expenditure, but they're accounted for on the budget. So we'll need those balances, I guess, as of the end of March statement, just so we can record them on that for proper documentation. there's anything that Public Works needs, there's two parts to that. The general side is for everything that's not water, wastewater. If they need anything about garbage collection, buildings and grounds, street lighting, you know, parks, tools, machinery, that goes there. And then, of course, if it's anything for water and wastewater, the enterprise, you need to know if it's anything other than what we have all the time.
One thing, sorry, one thing to keep in mind there, Joe presented us, probably been going on months, 6 months now, a list of, basically, a replacement of the different pieces of hardware that are in use throughout the
That's
town.
exactly what I was getting ready to bring up.
And we
Yeah,
did not fund that last year.
we
We
have
need
got
to.
to do that. That's part of that comprehensive plan that we agreed to, and we have not been funding.
Yeah,
All right, so that sounds like something that's gonna need to be a separate new line item.
It should be.
it needs to be an expenditure coming out.
All right, and tell me what this is.
It's capital improvements.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. The CIP.
Yeah, the CIP plan, and it's already written down and everything, and
We did a lot of work on that.
yeah, yeah, and you know, part of that is, looking at a new truck because he's starting to have trouble with his truck.
Yeah, there's no point that truck should be in condition it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now, this capital improvement stuff, is this mainly water and wastewater?
It's all,
It's everything.
All of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's fire hydrants.
Well, that would be under water and
Yeah.
wastewater. I'm just trying to see if we need one in the general side and one in the enterprise side, both.
See, I think you should, well, I'm working on the budget too. And one of the things that I'm adding is, capital improvements for buildings and grounds as well. Because, you know, when we go into the plaza, you know, we could write off a lot of that work as capital improvement because it's gonna add capital value to our bottom line.
All right. So that's that. I'll mention item 3 before item 2 because it's short, sweet, to the point. Bob and I discussed the idea of trying to have an end of year fiscal report sometime maybe by middle to late July, once staff has had time to process the changeover in the FY, so that we can see how we did and even have something there that's suitable to maintain on the website for transparency, for accountability. That's nothing to act on tonight, it's just conversation, something we felt would be a good idea.
just how close are we hitting our budget?
Well, that, and I brought this up in some of the things we've talked about. Rarely do I look at individual line items.
Yeah.
I always go to the department total because that's gonna tell you exactly where you're at with your money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the individual line item doesn't hardly mean anything. You want that total because you need to be staying within those guidelines that you set.
You're gonna have line items that go over.
Sure you are.
And you're gonna
Yeah.
have some that you use very little out of. I mean, that's normal everywhere,
Yeah.
every year.
That's
That
why
part
you
is-
look, that's why you look at the other total.
Yeah, and we get them monthly, but I'd like to have just an end of year report that we can all look at and say, this was a good year, this was a bad year, how can we do better?
All right, item 2 here, has been sort of angst back and forth for some time. It came up again right after New Year's. There was a question when it was time to do the annual raises. Why did it look different on the budget, on the salary amount versus what we said we were gonna do? And I had to dissect that. It took a little while, last couple of days, but basically here it is. And what's generating this fog is the 6 months time differential between the date range of the fiscal year and the calendrical year. So nobody knows easily what's going on. We pass a budget in the May-June time frame for the upcoming July through June fiscal year. And on the data sheet, we have whatever percent raises for everyone. this current time, it was, we'll just use that for example, it was 3.5%. But it has a delayed effective date of January, halfway through the FY. So, sure, they get their 3.5% on the rate, but when you go to put a dollar amount on the budget, that theoretically should be the old salary plus 1.75%, since you're only doing it half of the year. However, when you do that, you get one number, and I put an example right here in front of you, okay? And then, you get into a situation where several years ago, a previous treasurer that was here, for whatever reason, wanted to compute it differently. And that was to take, it might have been around the time we had to go from salary to hourly and split it and use the 20/80 hour type thing. But her thought was to take 1,040 hours at the old rate and 1,040 hours at the new rate and the sum of them, and that would be your number to project on the budget. The thing is, they're not the same number. You're getting into some kind of mathematical conundrum there. I mean, they should be the same number, but they don't come out the same number.
Well,
And some of that is,
let me ask, why don't they get the raise on July 1st?
well, I have.
I mean, why are we doing it like that?
That's why I'm bringing this up. Bob and I discussed this Monday afternoon, and this whole problem, it looks like to us, could be alleviated by making the effective date coincide with the fiscal year.
It should,
Oh,
that's the way it should be.
I can tell you, that's what mine does in Pennsylvania County Schools. They don't have this problem.
Yeah, I
And I don't know-
no problem at all.
I don't know anybody else who does.
Yeah, why do we do it that
So
way?
I do not know why one of your predecessors wanted to do that, and we all went along with it several years ago. I don't know. It's history now, it's not worth worrying about it.
Is there anything in our employee handbook that says it?
I was gonna say that we're gonna have to take a look at that employee handbook to make sure that that matches up with it.
Yeah.
You might have to amend that
Yeah.
to make this
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
But you still wanna make this change.
But
Yeah,
I would
Fix
think,
this.
Yeah,
I would think that this would be something that would decomplicate some things for people, as
Yeah.
well as better
Social
transparency.
Security is January the 1st.
And that way, we will be talking about, or when we pass a budget, then whatever percent we pass, and that will go in the 1st of July, when the new budget goes in, and they will receive it at that time.
That's-
Why in the world we would not, I don't know. But I think this is something here that needs cleaning up. But I wanted to get it out in front of everybody and see if there's some piece of this puzzle that I'm missing before going any further with the budget.
yeah, I think everybody agrees.
Yeah. It's downright cruel to tell somebody they're gonna get a raise 6 months from now.
I don't,
Agreeing?
I never did like it, but it's just, it's something that was done, and, you know, I didn't make waves about it at the time because I was working on other things, but it'll be my pleasure to fix this, this time.
Yeah. Great.
So you got the example there if you want to pour over it, but I don't think there's much need in dwelling on that. That's where I am with the budget as of right now. And as more information comes in, we'll have more to tell. Thank you.
You
Good
solved
job,
the
Greg.
vexatious problem. Solved the vexatious problem, trying to figure out,
Well, I
We
don't
appreciate
have,
all of it.
Since you brought this up, let me point something out to you.
I'm
Another
listening.
thing that causes a lot of problems for the town. So I'm not sure if your school does this, but in my county, we got our pay raises on the 1st of July when the fiscal year started. We also had a reset of everybody's vacation time on the fiscal year as well. So you had from July 1st all the way to June 30th, that your accruals built up through that year with Fluvanna, you didn't have to wait till the end of the year to use it. Here you do, that's not a big deal. But what they did was, everybody would be reset on their time. We would have, I believe it was the first 2 weeks of July to have our vacation used by from the previous fiscal year, but you were allowed to carry over based on your time in the county, at least 1, 2, or 5 years. Whatever you earned in 1 year's time, you were allowed to carry over till the following fiscal year. And then you had that first 2 weeks
So
to
you
get it
could carry
used.
some leave days over, up to a
Yes, you
point.
could, for a whole year, you could carry your whole year over into the whole year of the next fiscal year.
That was your max accrued.
Yes, your max accrue would be whatever you earned for a year, you could take into the next fiscal year. The way that we earned our leave time was based off of your hire date specifically. So any of the increases of your earning, your hours that you earned each month was based solely off of your hire date. So you're still earning like you're supposed to by the year, but your reset times and your usage time was based off the fiscal year. Here, everybody is on a different earn year and a different usable time because of the way that the town still does it. So that's something else I would like for you guys to look into as well, because it will make your lead time so much less hectic.
So you're talking about, kind of like we're talking about doing with
With the
with the
budgets.
money,
Mm-hmm,
doing the same thing with the leave time,
yes,
to
sir.
set the date range to go with the fiscal year instead of the calendrical year.
Yes, sir, because it will make it much easier to keep up with everybody's lead time, no matter what hire date.
Again, unless there's some piece of the puzzle I'm missing here, it's a thing of why would we not do that? Governmental things are different to everything else. They work on a fiscal year, which is July through June, not January through December.
Does Pennsylvania County even get vacation, teachers?
Yes.
You
we
do? Okay.
But it's not considered vacation. As faculty rank, I get 10 days of sick leave and 3 days of personal leave each school year.
I'm just wondering, my daughter's a teacher, I never
And
heard her
I can-
mention the word
I can
vacation.
I can carry those over unused into the next year, but they have a maximum on personal. If you
Okay.
go over that, then it converts to sick leave,
Okay.
but you don't
I
forfeit it.
don't think she's on this today, but I don't know.
But now, it's not vacation per se, it's either it's sick or personal, and there's a form you have to turn in for personal leave.
Like I said, I've just never heard her mention the word vacation, but I, you know,
Yeah.
she didn't teach it 26
Now,
years. So I don't know.
people like directors and principals that are 12-month people, they have annual leave like these folks have here.
Okay.
Because they're 12-month employees instead of 10. I have a 200-day contract, but they have a 12-month contract. So it's different for the school division. But as far as the timing goes, it would look like to me that we ought to be doing things not only like that, but like counties and towns and cities generally. I would think most everybody across the state is going by the fiscal year periodicity. Why would you not?
I agree with you.
How much time would this save you?
It's gonna make it a lot easier for the people that are doing payroll, because you don't have to try and keep up with each and everybody individual yearly time to get it done. It's just everybody has the same reset. And our systems are capable of doing resets automatically for the entire group.
But not-
Whereas you cannot, I don't know any system that does a reset for individuals. So it's a lot less bookkeeping in the long run.
And we have systems that can handle this already.
The software we have right now does it.
Okay. So it sounds like that we should do that as well. I mean, I don't see any downside. Other than we're gonna have to figure out what to do with the transition time. We have to be right by the employees with that.
Well, yeah, it becomes real easy once they get through that first year. You know, because if they come in January, well, then the kickoff, you know, the date's everything's gonna be based on July 1. So you gotta go back and look and, you know, once they get to that, then everybody's spending it the same time.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are both great suggestions.
I like the sound of that.
One thing also I would like to have us consider including in next year's budget is money for the live streaming setup for our citizens to watch. I would love to get a quote from that group. We don't have to go with them, but I'd love to just get a quote from that audio visual professional group out of Lynchburg. See what they would charge us to do this system as basically a one button push, get it live streaming. Instead of having to set this up every time and it not being as good as what it could be. We could have a camera right here and it could zoom in on people talking. We could have microphones hanging from the ceiling that are meant to capture
Yeah,
the podium and the.
we really missed an opportunity when we remodeled Town Hall.
Mhm.
You know, we could have put everything in the suit and been done with it and had it all out of the way, so it was a missed opportunity, but you're absolutely right. We need to get on that.
What did you call that again?
Audiovisual quote for live streaming town hall meetings.
All right.
What do those cameras do?
That's just security.
Security.
They don't have the
Jason
capability to live stream to YouTube, unfortunately.
Do you see this looking like something that is just a one-time, one-and-done purchase? Or
Yes.
is it a purchase and then an annual thing to maintain it and service it? And so it would just be a one-time purchase outright?
Yeah, unless some major change occurs to it, it should be a one-time pay. And I price it out, and it's somewhere in the ballpark of $6,000 just off the internet on the hardware we need.
And on this vein a little bit more too, one of the things I was gonna plug into mine is security cameras for our water stations and all. Because, yeah, the water and sewer stations, we need those to be under security cameras, and especially the new water treatment plant, because we've had break-ins up there in the past. So with the society that we're living in today, most towns and cities are trying to get more security on pump stations and water stations because they're such easy marks. So we need to be proactive.
Infrastructure all over the country is fast becoming a target for criminal
If I had anything with copper wire in it, I'd be very concerned about it.
Yeah, I think that's a worthy investment. We already have it on town property. This building, might as well get installed at those as
I
well.
know I've said it a lot, but that's one of those things there that you can't afford not to do.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thanks.
Anybody got anything else for the good of the cause?